was a fascinating day in Parliament yesterday. Listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, we have become aware of the consequences of orders you have issued as a result of the formal communication you have given. Mr. Speaker, I take full responsibility as a leader on my side on all actions that took place. I will therefore conclude by inviting you, Mr. Speaker, to, in the circumstance and with assurances given, to consider a rescission of the decision you communicated to the House, as well as all consequential matters thereto. Mr. Speaker, without more, I shall thank you for hearing me and resume my seat. Thank you very much. The assurance is given to consider a rescission of the decision you communicated to the House.
I also, on behalf of my side, appeal to you to reconsider your decision and lift the suspensions so that our colleagues can join us.
And I will proceed to lift the suspension of the 4 members of Parliament. And as the Speaker of the House and Chairman of the Parliamentary Service Board, I strongly condemn that incident. The clerk to the Appointments Committee is a public servant and should not be dragged into the failure of the members of the committee to resolve their differences. This clerk has worked with us for 19 good years, and she is one of the best clerks that we have had.
Let me unreservedly say to the clerk to the Appointment Committee, Mrs. Gifty Jagge Goba, I am sorry. Let me also say to the husband that my comment in respect of internal matter, if as a husband he is traumatized by this, I hereby unreservedly apologize to him as a husband. To the children, let me unreservedly say sorry to the children. Get me water. I need water. Mr. Speaker, this one, I need proper water. This is not a dry washing, just some small water. We are washing our hands. Mr. Speaker, I am cleaning my hands to tell them that all the airport hill sins are on their head. If tomorrow he and his aura start pursuing you, it is on your head. But if you repent and comes back to this house, we will accept him and make him awa too. Mr. Speaker, we rest our case.
Approved by majority. Say aye. All those against say no. Honourable members, it's obvious. Honourable Samuel Nate George is hereby approved by the majority of this House. To approve Honorable Samuel Okujoto Abrakwa by majority of the House is hereby carried.
Yeah. Dramatic day in Parliament yesterday, and I mean, very, very timely apology from Afenyo Markin to the clerk, who he really did abuse, in his emotional state. He really did abuse on that morning in ways that were very hard to watch. He has apologized for that. He's apologized on behalf of his people for the shameful behavior on the night, that long night of vetting. We saw Mahama Yariga, ever the peacemaker, stepping in to augment the apology, if you will, and the speaker, gave grace, right? But even on that day, somebody was still misbehaving in that Parliament. You've seen that video, haven't you? True. With someone making that horrible comment in the background that I don't want to repeat. That speaking about Dr. Zanetor Rawlings. I mean, what is wrong with these people?
Yesterday, we had a conversation Winston, about the kind of people in our parliament.
Yeah.
I mean, see, I will not fault you if you have a comment and you shout it. Sometimes parliamentary procedure, people tend to have followed how Beckhouse says people are in sedentary positions and they are shouting on top of their voices. They should man up and get up and speak into the microphone like men. But that's different. They do those things. It is what they say that becomes the problem. Because, as you're saying, people expect better behavior from the leaders they elect. Because they expect that leadership requires a certain level of finesse and competence. We don't know the competence yet, but the finesse, if you are failing to display it, it becomes a problem. And that's increasingly, I'll be very happy if the members of parliament show their competence and their ability to debate properly. Some do. Some are fantastic on their feet. Sometimes other people, I don't know whether their only use in the parliament is to be backing vocalists or to be shouting like, they are on a football pitch and they actually just say whatever they want to say. I think increasingly they should come to the understanding, and it also is the responsibility of Speaker Bagbin to make sure that this parliament, he says he should redeem the image of parliament, but it looks like where they are starting from, it's becoming problematic. So maybe, yes, he was graceful in this last attempt, but I think he should crack the whip more. He should show a certain ability to be fully in charge, because the people have shown, I've seen some quotes that somebody says he's behaving like a headmaster. And he's saying that headmaster take care of students, right? If they are students, they'll be a headmaster.
In fact, he was polite. You should have said if they are going to act like children, then they will need a headmaster.
I am seriously worried about how, and they should watch it. Many people do not get to know, especially when we are not shown what happens in the ministries and in the presidency. It is the Parliament of Ghana that we get to see all the time. It is an emblem and a show, the symbol of our democracy in many forms.
Okay.
And most of the time, they tend to disappoint us.
So I think that what we are seeing in the 9th Parliament is as a result of happenings from the 7th and the 8th Parliament. I'll explain. In the 7th Parliament, the NDC, then in the minority, 106 members of Parliament, felt that Speaker Okwe sided with the majority in everything and dealt with them. The feeling is that now that the NPP is in the minority and the NDC, with absolute majority, is a perfect time to revenge. In fact, there are those who go back as far as the 4th Parliament and say, because of what they did to us with Ken Jirasa losing the deputy speakership, and prior to the voting for second deputy speaker, there are those who suggested that it's time to pay them back. The NPP also will look back at the 8th Parliament and say, well, we had issues where at a point in time some of our members were ill and out of the country. Sarah Adrasofo was nowhere to be found. And so consistently we couldn't do anything. Unfortunately for the NPP, they don't have the numbers. But what they have done then is to do this singing, which is very unnecessary. This is what I think Parliament should do. The NPP must realize something. That per their actions, look, if they want to win a lot of seats in election 2028, it is not the singing that helps. It is the quality of their debate.
Point out.
And their emotional intelligence that would help. The verdict that Ghanaians delivered on election day is an indication of anger against the NPP. You don't reverse that anger by continuously doing some of the things that Ghanaians looked at and voted you out of office. What do I mean? Just point out the flaws through proper debate.
And you have the opportunity to do that.
And say, this is what you're getting wrong. So what you do is to wait. The budget is a perfect opportunity. Wait for the budget. If they do not do any of the things they have promised, you then would go out and say, we told you, and proffer superior solutions. If you go into We are born to save Ghana. We are born to save Ghana. You are only making the NDC better than you are, because people will still say, what are you doing? Look, because the NPP just doesn't understand why they lost the election, because they formed a committee going around
refusing to understand,
and they are engaging NPP members and not engaging Ghanaians. Instead of engaging Ghanaians to find out why they lost election 2024, they're engaging NPP members, believing that the apathy was as a result of NPP members not voting. We don't have a lot of time. We will come back to this later.
All right, so let's just run through the other headlines. We have now 155 contest Council of States lost Tuesday, and Development Bank Ghana welcomes Dr. Ransford Nsambala as CEO. Education Ministry denies story, but graphic stands by report. Education Ministry denies story, and this is a story we were talking about yesterday. This story about whether we are paying, what was it, the teacher
trainee allowance.
I mean, let me not even call them teacher trainees, because they are
colleges of education,
students
tertiary,
of a tertiary institution called College of Education. So we are paying the allowance. Apparently, the NDC did not promise that they'll remove those allowances. I thought that was the understanding that everybody had, or we all agreed on that.
Well, they didn't promise that removal. They actually said, and I quoted that to you yesterday. I mean, for purposes of emphasis, let's bring that back again. I think it's here. Okay, and that's on page 97 of the NDC manifesto. It says, and under 5.15, tertiary education financing support, no fee stress. Point 6 says provide trainee allowances, student loans, and other diverse funding options for teacher and nurse trainees.
Okay, I'm interested in the so that's the clarity, right?
Yeah, that's clarity.
What was said.
That's the NDC manifesto.
I'm interested in the story though, because the Daily Graphic says that even though the Education Ministry, which is the ministry that will either scrap these allowances or not scrap them, says there's no such thing, Graphic says they stand by their report.
Okay, so the people, in fact, the unedited statement that was sent to the Graphic was that we wish to categorically state that the news item does not reflect the true and accurate reporting of what the Honorable Minister stated. The Honorable Minister, during his interaction with executives of the principals of College of Education, Prinkoff, explained that government is open to augmenting the financial needs of students in the College of Education. To this end, he indicated that government will seek to consider an enhanced loan scheme for students in this category if need be. In addition, the minister was emphatic that government would maintain the allowances until further deliberations and a firm agreement is reached with all stakeholders. We therefore urge the Daily Graphic to correct the wrong impression created and to give this regional the same prominence in its earlier publication. Media houses are encouraged to verify information with the ministry where they have doubts as to not cause unnecessary concerns among our cherished stakeholders. This is what the editor's note says. This rejoinder was published unedited. The Daily Graphic wishes to state categorically that it stands by its story as appeared in yesterday's issue, and they ask you to scan to watch the Honourable Minister and what he said.
Interesting.
So they insist that that's what the minister said.
Fair enough.
And that they have actually published a rejoinder, but to them it is not any form of clarification or correction.
Okay. Because as for them, they reported
exactly what the minister said.
That's what their position is.
Okay.
Okay.
So now, they are the ones who are saying it, right? They are continuing with the allowance as was in the thing. I am of the opinion that this education committee that has been set up under the professor from UCC, that we should go and review the education sector. I am writing a proposal they should cancel this. Not only that, the health
nurses,
the nursing training one too, they should cancel it. Frankly, it doesn't make sense to me. It is not justified use of public resource in any form, but politics make some of these things possible.
The Ghanaian Times quickly says tripartite committee begins 2025 salary negotiations. Government urges partners to work expeditiously, and government reviews gold for oil policy to promote transparency. Energy Minister